Hi, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the webinar being held today as part of EU Green Week, the European Green Week, with the theme of the Green Week being zero pollution. My name is Carl Donnert. I'm Vice President of the European Association of Geographers. We are hosting the webinar this morning, and the role of the webinar is to explore issues associated with agriculture and specifically associated with the impact of agriculture and zero pollution. I'm going to start the webinar with a short video. So I'm going to share my screen. I can find myself. Let's see if I can. Do you see my video?
Yes, everything goes okay, Carl.
Everything is fine, thank you. So good morning, everybody. And that was our introduction to the webinar. As you can see, it's very much involved in very innovative technology and the use of digital approaches to agriculture. And now I'm going to share. Let's see if I can see. I'm going to hand over to Alteo Valentini, who is going to show, introduce the project, the seed project.
Yeah.
Okay, are you able to share your screen?
I don't think so.
Yes, here we are.
Okay, now it's
So I'm
coming.
handing over to the project coordinator, Alteo Valentini, who is the coordinator of the seed project and who will introduce the project.
Okay, if you just can please confirm that you can see my screen.
Not at the moment.
Not at the moment, no.
Yeah, we can see it now.
Now we see
Okay,
you.
it's coming. Perfect. So again, welcome everyone. It's a pleasure to have you here with this during this special week of the European Union. We are very glad that we have been accepted as one of the official events of the EU Green Week 2021. With this specific topic today, the carbon footprint of the digital technologies in the AgriTech and precision agriculture sectors. Why we decided to speak about this topic, of course, because of the zero pollution focus, but also because we are about to close 3 years project. It was a very long project, extended due to the COVID, which started in a period when the world was quite different from today. And it started because of, first of all, yeah, my name is Alteo Valentini. I am the project coordinator and I'm representing EGINA, which is the European Grants International Academy from Italy. Together with us, we have 2 other Italian partners in the project, Umbraflor, which is the nursery of the Umbria region in central Italy, and the Vet Agricultural School Ciuffelli. Then we have, as you can imagine, Eurogeo, represented by CAR, and also Ghent University, Nitra University, and the Association of Industry of Navarra. So this is the consortium that cooperated during the last 3 years in the development of this, in the implementation of this project. Everything started though with an Italian research carried out by Cisco and the Digital Transformation Institute on the impacts of digital transformation on the agri-food supply chain. It was a quite detailed research carried out in 2016, focusing on how the digital transformation is impacting the sector, what was the state of the art at that stage about digitalization of agriculture, agri-industry, and the overall agri-food sector, and also which digital technologies have a bigger impact on not only the main production, but also the cross-chain contact points and all other economic sectors interested by these 4 main production sectors: meat, fish, milk, and vegetables. And the most important element for us was the specific focus that this research had on the educational system. So they started a process that we finalized in a way with our project, also extended to other European countries. But it was a very nicely done analysis of the skills, of the skill gap in the Italian educational system for the needs of the agricultural sector to cope with digital transformation. These are some charts from the research where you see how the different technology used are impacting on the supply chain process, quite interesting, and also specified for the different sectors. So in the meat production, milk, fish, and vegetables. So as you can see, at least in 2016, precision agriculture and agri-tech was much more evident. The impact was much more evident on the production of vegetables rather than other sectors. Then, of course, we based the needs of our project also on the works carried out by the APE Agri workshop, enabling farmers for the digital aid, where, as you can see, the most evident word is awareness. So what we did with the seed project at the very starting point was reflecting on not really how to create engineering, a new engineering job profile in the field of agriculture, but rather how to increase the awareness of those working in the sector, thanks to the support of someone with expertise on different fields. So this was very crucial for us, so crucial that we decided to change the name of the job profile developed from technician on digital transformation in agriculture to advisor on digital transformation in agriculture, which makes a big difference. Well, here are some studies on the digital awareness and the digital skills in the sector. But because we have just 1 hour, I want to leave more space to the discussion. Quickly, what the project is about. This has been founded by K3 Core for Proposal for Joint Qualifications in VET. So this was what we were supposed to do and what we achieved with the implementation of the project, which took 3 years. Is going to close next September this year, and also I take already the chance to save the date at least for the second week of September, when we are planning to implement our final conference in Brussels. We will share more details in the coming days. The countries represented and the partners already mentioned, and actions. So what we did here, we worked a lot for the development of a new VET qualification profile, which is this advisor or agent on digital agriculture. A qualification that has been developed and designed taking into account the great relevance of work-based learning activities, both in existing curricula, but also in the new one, so the one that we developed. And also, this is something that unfortunately we tried very hard to implement, but it was not possible. It seems not to be possible yet. Mobility, transnational mobility of beneficiaries in each country. We are substituting this action with internal work-based learning activities, traineeships, and courses for unemployed people. This is the process. We started with analyzing all the existing offer in 4 European countries, relevant for the project, of course. So everything that was related to agri-food profiles or something relevant for the digital side of the curriculum. And we actually, although our project was meant to develop an EQF5 curriculum, we decided to analyze also the EQF4, which means high schools in most of the countries involved, and EQF6, which means bachelor studies, also to have an idea on the process and the competence level at different EQF stages. So we analyzed these profiles. We understood what type of gap was shared among the different countries, and we finally developed a vet curriculum that has been validated through a different rounds of internal and external peer review activities. The research results quickly, as I said, not only QF5, but also our research focused, because especially of the sector we are talking about, on also non-formal educational opportunities. So there was a very extended research on all those atypical and non-formal workshops and seminars and different type of courses focused on the digital aspect. And also not only agriculture, because as I said, our intention with this project was not to create a expert on technologies, but an advisor. So that's why we included courses related to design thinking in agriculture, entrepreneurship, and other transversal and soft skills that are definitely relevant for such a new job profile. These are the results. Altogether, we analyzed 287 courses. As you can see, most of them covering the agroforestry sector, but anyway, with a nice representation also of other agriculture sectors. And we probably the most relevant finding from this research was that just out of these 287 courses, few formal qualifications at EQF level 5 and 6 were strongly oriented to the digital farming. So there was immediately the confirmation of what we were expecting with the what we were the basis for justifying the need of our project. Some statistics about the main value chain processes interested. Here you see an important dimension for and presence of the production management. So this is where mostly the digital aspects were present in the curriculum, everything related to production quality control, production planning, much less about the other value chain processes. And finally, what were the main digital domains interested? A big presence of gathering, collecting, integrating, evaluating, and uses project process data, and let's say also in a relevance for controlling and process automation, but quite surprisingly, very few courses or subjects on identifying, buying, using digital hardware and software technologies. So based on this research, we definitely understood that there was a gap between the technical and the marketing use of digital technologies. Most of the time, these two levels were completely separate and treated in a isolated way into the curriculum. The need of modularity, scalability, and reusability of digital knowledge. So rather than proposing digital innovation as the only way of innovating agriculture, it is clear that we wanted to create a strategic thinking approach into both the analysis of the actual status of the agri companies, but also the way the new digital innovation plans would have been realized and proposed to the sector. And finally, another important element was the entrepreneurial difficulty to manage the decision-making process. Here, summarizing all the findings, I will say that there was 2 years ago, but there still is a very important human factor, which is important in all economic sectors, but even more for agriculture, which create barriers and understanding difficulties, which must be addressed with specific skills. And these specific skills are something that we tried to include in our curriculum for advisors on digital transformation in agriculture. As you see, in fact, the digital farming agent may be seen as an innovation agent and a firm consultant, which is specialized in feasibility studies, business evaluation, and of course is also aware of all the new digital technologies and how these impact on the agri-farm, agribusiness, and which type of operational support, which means also human or technical support, is necessary to implement the process. It's also a network agent because it is or she is able to create relationships between different entrepreneurial domains, and it works very closely with the SMEs, also with a level of knowledge that stays at vocational level. So it's very practical, it's higher vocational educated, because we're talking about EQF level 5. And for this reason, he or she is mostly oriented to obtain an operational result rather than studying the data collected with the feasibility studies. The structure of the qualification as a core set of competence units plus a complementary set of domain-related competence units. This makes our qualification also very much flexible and transferable to other European countries that may be interested to adopt it, because they can, for fixed the core set of competence units, actually the qualification can be adapted to any agricultural domain which is interested by the digital transformation process. These are the core units, of course: agribusiness, digital, which we can see as two parallel level of education that together will bring to the innovation. So the competencies are offered with theoretical approach for what relates the agribusiness modules and the digital ones. And then the innovation element is actually interesting, the two domains, creating the bridge between the way the agribusiness is managed and how the digital technologies can contribute to innovate processes. Here you see quickly the structure of the different of the core units, so the modules. I would invite you, if you're interested, to go online and download. I will show you later the link and read both the qualification structure and the final curriculum into detail. What is interesting is probably mentioning the domain application that we have included in our qualification structure, which is strategic planning and sustainable management, precision agriculture, agri-food value and added services, and digital marketing and commerce. And again, the sub structure of the units. I will need probably 20 minutes to go through this, so I will just quickly show you the dependencies between the different units that we have included into the qualification. The best way to read it quickly is probably focusing just on the text which is outside the boxes. That gives you an idea of the key element of this qualification. So orienting the decision-making approach, here we have the advisory element, together with supporting the choice and the implementation of strategic planning and supporting an effective approach to digital transformation. In order to do this, it's important to, of course, being able to understand and define the production models, managing the processes under the models, and finally the data that you can collect with a different digital innovation. Finally, all the process brings to the elaboration of this data that again is facilitated and exploited by the approach of digital innovation in order to do what? Of course, to improve the processes, but also to provide benefit to the marketing and selling models of the agri companies. Finally, I'm out of time probably, but just very important. Here, of course, the qualification has been framed within the ISEO classification. But what's more important is that we have also mapped all the units into the Digicom 2.1, the Digital Competence Framework for Citizens, and the EntreComp, the Entrepreneurship Competence Framework. So in the document, you will find these tables where you can see clearly at what level each single unit of our qualification has been mapped to the Digicom framework that you see on the left side of the chart of the table. Level 6, level 5, it means that we stay at a upper intermediate level of knowledge in the digital domain. At the same time, the same way, we have done this mapping exercise with EntreComp. So again, left side you have the EntreComp framework, and the right side of the table you see how the different units are mapped to the European framework, mostly at intermediate but also advanced level. I will say if we put the digital side of the qualification and you want to compare it with the entrepreneurial one, probably the new professional that we want to create as a stronger orientation to entrepreneurship capabilities, but being very aware of all the digital innovation in the agricultural sector and how these can impact on the, I would say, entrepreneurial, sustainable, and ethical growth of the companies in agriculture. Final slide. This is where you find all I've presented to you during this brief presentation, and this is where we will upload also the missing documents, namely the translation of the curriculum in Italian, which is coming, and finally the assessment standards that we are working on these months, together with some policy recommendation. So visit us and get in contact if you're interested for exploiting or using the curriculum in any way in your national context. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Altheo. Thank you for the comprehensive review of our seed project. I think the audience will realize now that these changes within agriculture and agri food are happening. They need to be accelerated because we need to be more efficient and productive in terms of our systems, and at the same time we need to be more careful in terms of our environment. I'm going to hand over to our first of three speakers, Karol Szawat from Slovakia. He has to leave urgently, so he's asked me to make sure that he is included first. And so I'm going to hand the screen over to him from the University of Nitra, University of Agriculture Nitra. Karol, you're online.
Yes, I'm trying to share my screen. Do you see my screen?
Yes, we do. Thank you very much.
Only I would like to mention two things. I am not from Slovak. I am from Czech, and I am not on University of Nitra, but we are cooperating with University of Nitra, and I would like to speak about our experiences about building agri-hubs, because we see as something what is really very connected with education. Yes, as SEED is mainly focused on the education, we are trying to support this in the Czech Republic, but now also together with Zuzana in Slovakia and in other countries. So we are part of the movement of European digital innovation hubs for agriculture, and the goal is to be able to linkage research, development, and customers, because this is important to be able to connect it the people from different skills. Yes, not only ICT people, but agriculture people, could be people from earth observation, with the people who are developing the application and bring all this knowledge to the customer. This we see as important, and what is the most important from our point of view is to build community, because without attracting people, without bringing people to the community, we can develop any type of solution, but it is important that the community around is built. In the Czech, we use this lockdown period, and we organize a series of 15 webinars every Tuesday at 1 o'clock. We organize webinar which was recorded, and generally on these webinars we had something like more than 700 participants, and something like more than 2,000 people already saw this webinar recorded. AgriHub, we are telling that it is community, it is tools, data, and could be also some social space where people are able to share the idea. We are trying to support also startups with new ideas. So our AgriHub is the environment which is collecting the tools, which is collecting the environment for end user, but also we are offering some technology for people who would like to develop new solution, and also we are trying to offer them the data, because this we see as important. What I recognized in last year, that every company, every startup is starting to prepare the same data, taking land parcel information system, transform this to the system, develop on the top of the application. So we are trying with our technology to avoid this necessity for everybody to do the same, but to have the strong environment and to be able to bring new solution and also promote their solution and discuss this with potential end user. As a part of these activities, we are also organizing now Inspire Hackathon, Open Spring, and one of the solution was also together with Zuzana and other people to bring our experiences with the Czech innovation hub to the Slovakia, and to develop also solution together with University of Nitra, University of Košice, and some company solution for Slovakia. About the technology of the hub, we have now some prototyping solution which could be very easy modify for different purposes. We are running one hub also in Africa, where we are communicating not so much with the farmer, but a lot of with scientists, people dealing with the data. And now the newest things is to develop the hub on Slovakia. What we are trying is, for example, to offer, I mentioned already in the beginning, some composition of the maps, yes, because it is important to be able to use the maps, and we develop some concept of map composition, and we are able to offer these maps not only on this hub, but these maps could be also used on mobiles, or these maps could be also used by QGIS, and anybody can extend this and develop their own map composition and publish this on the hubs. Here you can see what we integrated in the Czech Republic, and you can see that many of the things is related to agriculture, but also environment and climatic changes, because we see now this adaptation on the climatic changes as important, and also for farmers is now very important to be ready to react on the Green Deal, because if Green Deal will be applied in Europe, it will have a huge number of requirements on farming sector, and farmers need to know how they can react on these changes, on this problem, and we are trying to bring them different solutions, to show them different examples, and also different best practices, and also how they can deal with this. What we also develop, and is part of our solution, that I mentioned, that you can not only work with this on our hub, but you are able to download all data into the QGIS. It is open source software, and anybody can work with this data and develop something on the top, and eventually publish this data back to the hub. This is something what is doing the work with web technology much easier, because many people is able to deal with desktop GIS, but to publish geospatial data on the hub is not easy task. So we are working with this, and we are trying to make the technology which can help to non-GIS or non-web specialists to publish their data. And of course, it's important that the same data can be available on the mobile, because many farmers is working in the terrain, and it is necessary that not only in the office, but that they will be able to bring their data with them to the terrain and, for example, manage fertilization on the base. What we are also promoting and trying to do is working with Copernicus data, Sentinel-1 and Sentinel-2, and to look on the different possibilities how to better utilize this data and what can this data tell to the farmers, because this data can tell to farmers where they have to put some fertilizer or chemical, but also about the best timing, yes, because if you are analyzing the time series across all season, then you can recognize when is the best time for applying. And we are trying to connect it some research experimentation with direct testing of the farmers. So we are working on this with number of the farms, and the results are then also presented on the webinars and on the web to the farmers to be possible adopt these things and to promote the new solution, because till now the adoption of new solution is not very high, and only some limited number of the farmers is able fully adopt the technology. What was big surprise for us also that not only farmers, but for example in our country, most of resellers of agriculture machinery, they don't know what really are the machinery able to do, because the newest machinery has technology for precision farming and other, but most of the reseller don't understand this and is not able to explain to the farmers. And we recognize this as one very important point to teach these people, to teach advisor about this new technology, new data, and new possibilities. Of course, we have some very advanced farm in the Czech, probably Rostenice is one from the most advanced farms. They are using new technology. We are making with them experiment with 3D. We are providing with them experiment of high density sensors network to really recognize what is influence of the terrain. And then these results are again published on the hub and bringing to the partners. Of course, it's important also to provide some classification of image and analysis of image, because there are also things which are similar not only for farmers, but also, for example, for the people dealing with common agriculture policy, payment agency. And what we recognize that many type of analysis can be useful for many type of organization, and that is also important to try to connect these different organizations, because then also the services can be cheaper for the farmers. Here you can see something from the Slovak, and it is dealing with the data from Sentinel-1, because we are now trying to promote Sentinel-1, because for example during the season it's difficult to have visible data, but Sentinel-1 data are able to or are available every 5 days, because there are no problem with the cloud. So to promote Sentinel-1 data and to learn people how to work with Sentinel-1, we see also as big importance. And I mentioned that we are also trying now to work not only in Europe. You can see here some experimentation with the innovation hub in Africa. It is about open land use, because the land use in or data in Africa usually are very difficult to reach. So we are trying to find some way how to combine different data sources and build the solution, and again promote this to the community. The part of hub is also some demonstration of good examples, and here you can see the best practice atlas, which is promoting using of biomass for non-energy production. And also we are trying to promote shortage of supply chain and promote the application which can help to the local people and local farmers to sell the products. So this is shortly about this, what we are doing. If there is some question or remarks, I am ready to answer.
Thank you very much, Carol, and fascinating activities that you've been doing. And if there are any questions, please, if you would write them in the chat, and we will make sure that Carol responds to them. I'm going to hand over to our next presenter, who is Claudia Breitz. Claudia, I'm handing over to you.
Hello. Good morning, everybody. Can I share my screen, Carl?
Yes, please.
Here. Okay, are you able to see everything properly?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
But you see this on the corner, no? Let me. Are you seeing all the screen, or are you seeing some images?
We see your screen. We see your complete screen. It's perfect.
Okay, thank you. Because I'm seeing myself and some other stuff. Okay, good morning, everybody. My presentation will focus on the opportunities and inevitabilities of digital and agriculture. So, sorry. Okay. I'm not able to see. Okay, I think. Okay. So starting on the European Green Deal, one of the main goals is transforming the EU economy for a sustainable future. And it will be designed a set of deeply transformative policies, that kind of breakthrough policies from what we have been able to see. And is also an opportunity because the EU should also promote and invest in the necessary digital transformation and tools, as these are essential enablers of the changes. But at the same time, it is essential to ensure that the European market is fully integrated, interconnected, and digitalized while respecting technological neutrality. So in March 2020, the Commission adopted already an industrial strategy to address the twin challenges of the green and the digital transformation. So I think that with the European Green Deal, we'll be able to develop the digitalization of agriculture and at the same time go greener. So the good point of digitalization, for instance, is that it can help to improve the availability of information on characteristics of products sold in the EU. They will be reliable, comparable, and verifiable information about all the products that enables buyers to make more sustainable decisions and reduces the risks of greenwashing. So we inside the EU are able to ensuring the supply of sustainable raw materials, and for that happen, we need to go for green technologies, digital, space and defense applications, and diversifying supply from both primary and secondary sources. So this is one of the prerequisites to make transition happen. Digital technologies are a critical enabler for attaining the sustainability goals of the Green Deal in many different sectors. And this is recognized by the Green Deal document. So I think it's a great opportunity to make the change and to be able to go for the change, for the digital transformation. So digital technologies, we are talking about artificial intelligence, 5G, cloud and edge computing, and Internet of Things. So this has to be accelerated, but also be able to deal with climate change and protect the environment. So digitalization also presents new opportunities for distance monitoring of air and water pollution, of monitoring and optimizing how energy and natural resources are used. At the same time, Europe needs a digital sector that puts sustainability at its heart. So I think this is also a very important stress that I want to, and a highlight that I think I need to do. It should ensure that is in line with the needs of the circular economy. And this is also something that is on the Green Deal documents, and it has to be linked completely with this kind of policy. So also in the from fork to fork strategy, we need to give consumers better information, including by digital means, on details such where food comes from, its nutritional value, and its environmental footprint. Also, consumers are even are more and more demanding on this kind of information. So the accessible and interoperable data are at the heart of data-driven innovation. This data, combined with digital infrastructure, for example, supercomputers, cloud, ultra-fast networks, and artificial intelligence solutions, facilitate evidence-based decisions and expand the capacity to understand and tackle environmental changes. And I think that Alteo also stresses the tools to enable the managers to have more supported decision-making processes. And I think that all this gathered data will help in this field. So the Commission, again, will support work to unlock the full benefits of the digital transformation to support ecological transition. So now talking a little bit about the zero pollution goals of the new strategy, the investments are going to be made in clean and sustainable design, circular economy business models, cleaner transport and mobility, low emission technologies, nature-based solutions, and sustainable digitalization. They will offer strong opportunities to consolidate EU leadership in green growth while reducing inequalities, creating jobs, and enhancing collective resilience. And we believe so. Another thing will be the national recovery and resilience plans that will provide a tool to address challenges and reap the benefits of the green and digital transitions, which can include pollution prevention and reduction, particularly those identifying in country-specific recommendations. So in line with the Recovery and Resilience Facility regulation, the Commission will assess the plans against, among others, the targets of twin digital and green transition. Significant innovative potential is increasingly emerging from digital solutions to reduce pollution. For example, we have the digital tools to help farmers reduce their environmental footprints, that I think that here is one of the biggest questions in this webinar. And also, the Commission will invest in the piloting and rollout of digital solutions for zero pollution. So those kind of Carol was talking about those agri-hubs. I think that we will also have big opportunities after these new policy frameworks that will come. So the principles are a little bit based on beautiful, sustainable, and together. The living labs for green digital solutions and smart zero pollution. In 2021, the Commission will, together with partners, launch living labs for green digital solutions and smart zero pollution to engage with regional and local authorities. So I think that those kind of local actions for green and digital transformation will have a big input in this transformation at a local level that then will spread. Again, by 2023, these Living Lab members will develop recommendations on using for a climate and environmental friendly use of digital solutions to accelerate zero pollution efforts. So, building on the monitoring and outlook, the Commission will cooperation with Committee of Regions, which set up a new zero pollution stakeholder platform. And this will bring together stakeholders and experts of different policy areas. And this will be very, I think that this kind of participatory research and recommendations will have the most power and knowing about the local realities than to do like common policies. So it will develop and share good practices on cross-cutting topics such as finance for zero pollution, innovation and jobs, boosting sustainable production and consumption, as well as creating thematic hubs such as Green Digital Solutions Hub, a Clear Air Tech Hub, and a Soil Pollution Hub. And here I think that agriculture must have a participation in all these kind of hubs. So the goals, the Union will need to reduce the greenhouse emissions until 2050 to achieve the climate targets. And we see that when we are now, we still have like 80% to go. So it's still a long way. So the problem is that we now have big problems facing. So we have COVID and we have a big recession coming and we have the climate change that is not helping with this. So let's keep our hands together and hope that with that efforts, those waves will be smaller and smaller. So, and also when we look back to the annual global CO2 emissions, we see that from 1990s until 2019, that was the latest data that I gather, we have like the double from all history of humanity. So it was really increasing very fast. So the figures that we need to reduce are really going on the opposite direction. Okay. So about the global greenhouse gases emissions by sector, we have energy, the biggest one, in 73% of responsibility in greenhouse gas emissions, but agriculture and forestry is the second. So I think we have here a big interval to go down and to work on. So when we talk about greenhouse gas emissions, we see that our everyday tools have a significant impact on the emissions. This is from a project about that was made in Sorbonne University, but I think it's also good for show what is happening all around. And we see that increasingly all the greenhouse emissions are getting cumulatively bigger. Also, all devices that we use have a big impact, and we need to take care of this. Sorry. So when we see the greenhouse gas emissions from numerical situations, we see that the electricity consumption is a big greenhouse gas emission. So we need to work on that. We need to work on what are the main stresses for the network, and we need to go for that from there. So if we see also in the right side, this percentage of greenhouse gases emissions related to digital, we see that the data storage has a more than 50% of GHG emissions. So it's also a big problem because nowadays the data it's bigger and bigger, and the capacity is also growing. So we need to also take care of this kind of use of our energy. If we see electricity emissions factors of different countries, we see, for instance, that in Brazil we have lowest, and also in France. In France is because the electricity is coming from mainly from the nuclear facilities, and in Brazil coming from hydraulic facilities. But in all the other countries that we see here, the main motor for the electricity are still the fossil fuels. So it's a reality that we really need to change. And we see here China, and we see United States also as a big electricity emission countries. In the other hand, so here we see the list of the 6 countries hosting the majority of data centers in the world. So here in the USA, we see that they have like almost 40% of all data centers in the world, and the electricity emission factor is very high. So comparing to the other countries, we need also to change this reality, because Australia and Netherlands, India, that we know that are big hubs for hosting the biggest data centers, are also the big responsibles for electricity emissions. Another study here from an agricultural point of view, this is a study from Kentucky University with 4 different scenarios. Grain farmer under no-till conditions, so it's the base model. The utilization of a sub-meter auto-steer technology on a tractor, the utilization of RTK auto-steer technology on a tractor, directly connected to, I think, to the second, to the satellites, and utilization of automatic section control. So here we can see that the base carbon emissions are really higher, and the RTK technology on the tractor is really the best option, as the carbon emission is lower, as 2.34%. It doesn't seem much, but in the end of the day, it's really important to start to look at these kind of figures. Also, for instance, in these kind of RTK processes, we see that the across plating by sowing date are more faster. They can do all the sowing on only one day because of the biggest efficiency of the system. So also, when we use this kind of digital tools and technologies, we can see that also the hardware or the passages of the tractors and so on are really slower. Also, we see that the main differences of these RTK are in tractor fuel, so the reduction of the consumption of fuel is significant, and also on the amount of seed used. So we can see here, it's only a question to make the connection to agriculture, but we can see that in the precision agriculture is both economically viable and more environmentally beneficial due to the reduction of the carbon footprint that conventional farming. The reduction in the carbon footprint with the use of precision agriculture can be attributed to several factors, because precision agriculture is more precise with the application of fertilizers and seeds, fewer inputs are used, thereby reducing the carbon footprint of the operation. With the reduction of inputs, there is a reduction in the carbon footprint from 2 directions. First, the production of the inputs carries a carbon footprint, while secondly, the use of the farm carries a carbon footprint. So let's think about the solution. In EcoInsight, for our assessment process starts with an institution or with a company, depends on who we are working for. So first, we see the relationship with the assessment. After, we do a diagnosis and priority definition that will help us to define objective, goals, and action plan. After that, we integrate all the measures defined on the action plan, we monitor, we evaluate, and we report. So after that, we adapt and improve. And after this cycle ends, we start again to define new objectives, goals, and another action plan. So we think this is a continuous improvement cycle, and this is our contribute to our perspective on the assessment processes of agriculture or other kind of companies. So our strategic alignment about the organization, strategies and objectives, the budget assessment, creating a vision and a plan, creating an overall plan that includes assigning responsibility to each member, deadlines, reviews, alignment with guidelines, etc., involvement of all stakeholders, because we think that in a holistic point of view, we need to assess everything, and not only the environmental impact, but also the other components. So the involvement of stakeholders for us is crucial. We need to identify and engage stakeholders in our assessment. We need the creation of a stakeholder identification map and how best to involve them, analyze existing questionnaires and their framing, gather relevant information for stakeholders. About indicators, we identify the priority issues, because we know that we cannot go for everything in just the beginning. So we create a materiality matrix with the identification of priority issues. We define the limits of the assessment. We analyze the best practices, guidelines, and regulations applied to the scope of the report or the assessment. We choose the guideline to be included on the assessment. Then we select the key performance indicators and the identification of key performance indicators for each defined priority. So in conclusion, we gather fundamental data, not only to be included in the assessment, but which also have the organization performance. Selection of key data for the calculation of key performance indicators, the creation of a vision and a plan, the evaluation of data, and internal or third-party audit to ensure reliability of data. Besides this, we think that is also important, and I think there's also Althea to give a hint on this, that we need a communication plan. So we incorporate a marketing plan in our assessment. So we also prepare the report. So we aggregate the information compiled throughout the process and preparation of the report, and we give a strategic communication management and public relations plan to all our assessed institutions and companies. For example, in this area, we had made a big project. We still are ongoing since 2013, and it keeps ongoing for at least for the next 3 years. And it's a Portuguese company that is also set in Poland. We start here to evaluate the sustainability of the Portuguese suppliers of this big company of supermarkets in Portugal. We are evaluating the fruit and vegetables suppliers. Here we do a lot. We do a lot of. We have different 60 different indicators or criteria, and we have a compost index where we assess the environmental sustainability, the agronomic practice sustainability, and the economic sustainability. Here we also value what are the best practices, and we also have this booklet to help the decision making, and also as good examples and principles for farmers to have support documents. Sorry. We also use the Global Reporting Initiative as the main references for analysis and for assessment of companies. There are also these SABs technology SABs accounting standards for also assess that we also incorporate when it makes sense. So here we can see that in terms of environment, we have the greenhouse gases emissions, the air quality, energy management, water and waste management, waste and hazardous materials management, and ecological impacts. Almost all of these sub-chapters are included in almost all of the tools. Some have one part more developed than another, but I think that here is a good example of what should be assessed together. We cannot only assess the impact to environment, the economic return, so we need to understand the system as a whole to have a really good report or support document for the management decision making process. Okay. Decision making. Sorry. Another example more related to the financial part also, because this is important, because all the financing institutes or banks and so on are now starting to demand sustainability reports and to have a good report on the emissions and what are the state of the enterprise before giving the funding.
Sorry for interrupting, Claudia, but if you can close in 2 minutes, because then we have 2 other speakers. Thank you very much.
Okay, sorry. So examples, also this natural capital protocol, US. Okay, there are a lot of different protocols for assessment. So I think the principles are these. Circular economy, everybody knows about this Ellen MacArthur Foundation scheme, so it's nothing new. I think that is very nice to do. So also the Sustainable Development Goals are our basis, and the future. This is not the framework to understand the future of work. And here, really, they have the design for agility, focusing on impact, and I think that this is also what we are doing here. Learning and development for a lifetime, and this is very important, because with this kind of digitalization, the people working in companies are going to be outdated, so it has to be a new kind of education and learning. Let's go. The future also, these kind of regenerative business models. Let's go. And also I think the future is this kind of curriculum made by the SEED project. That is very important. It is really going for the gaps on the existing education systems. Okay, sorry for the long exposure, but I now come to an end. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Claudia. And I wish I'd had you talking with me to the European Commission, because when I asked, tried to get us to join the EU Green Week, it took them almost 1 month to understand the significance and the relevance of agriculture and forestry and agribusiness to the goals that they have. They don't understand this. And this is when you talk to various people who are running organizations and running events like this week, the EU Green Week. So for me, you've given a precise example of what the European Commission need to understand. So thank you very much. And I'm going to hand over to our last speaker, Antonio Roman. And I think, Antonio, you can share your screen if you wish.
Yeah, thank you. I would like to show you something before I share my screen. So I will just, if you can hear me and you can listen, you can see me, right? Yeah. Okay, so I will share my screen afterwards. Thank you. So before sharing my screen, I would like to show you this picture. This is connected to something I'm going to explain later, and it's the extensive livestock model, which is also connected with what Claudia was explaining, and also with Alteo. So this is a landscape where animals graze in freedom, so there is no need with so much input. And as you can see, there are some pigs, some cows here around, and yeah, it is important that you keep this this picture in your mind, because it is connected to this idea of extensive livestock. I'm going to share my screen. If you can confirm that you can see it, please. I will share it.
It's okay, Antonio.
Yeah, you can see it, right? So thank you very much. My name is Antonio Román, and I work for Innogestión Ambiental. We are an organization working in the field of environmental engineering. So we provide services, and we also work in research, development, and innovation projects, as also our colleagues were mentioning. At the moment, we are working in writing proposals for Horizon Europe in the field of soil health and complex sustainability indicators, as Claudia was mentioning, this idea of holistic sustainability, which I think is the path we need to follow, and also with about fair food supply chains. So these are the projects, what you see in this slide, that we are working at the moment. And in the frame of the European Green Week, and also in the frame of this webinar, I would like to share some I call it fit for thoughts. So the food for thoughts related to zero pollution. So Claudia was talking about the production of vegetables. I understand in agriculture, but in my speech will focus more on farming, on livestock farming. So some data is that over 60% of mammals on Earth are livestock. So human being is behind them, is managing this livestock. Also, as Claudia was mentioning, 25% or about 25% of global greenhouses gas emissions are originated from agriculture and livestock farming. And the question is that from those greenhouse gases, to what extent they are or not natural emissions. So for me, there is a very important reference. His name is Pablo Manzano. He's an ecologist and researcher in the University of Helsinki. And this idea of that in the world there is grass and animals eat it. I am not talking about producing food or feed for animals with precision agriculture. I'm talking about the resources that are already on the earth, and they produce greenhouses, and these are natural processes. So if the cow or the wild beast don't eat it, it might be catch fire, and then it will produce again gas emissions, so CO2, methane. So this is just, I don't have an answer on this. I just would like to bring this to the conversation. And also in the field of sustainability and carbon footprint, then again, we come to this differentiation of intensive versus extensive livestock farming. So the data complexity to calculate the greenhouse gases emitted by livestock is not easy. It's not an easy task, also, as Claudia was saying. So this is one of the challenges we will need to face. On the other hand, we can identify a trend in the society, which is a clear message that we should eat less meat. So the question is, what meat and how is that meat produced? This is a question also I would like to leave open. And also, the cows are behind this, one of those messages that they are producing a lot of greenhouse gases. So when a cow produces gases, is because the cow is eating grass, but the cow is also playing a role in the management, in the sustainable management of the landscapes. It is true that cows that are part of intensive models, they don't produce this amount of methane or this about greenhouses, but the food that the feed that this cow is eating in an intensive model is being produced somewhere else, and for this production there is also CO2 gases. There is CO2 emissions also, as Claudia will say. Even precision agriculture reduces this, but this needs to be considered when we compare the way these two models produce greenhouse gases. And on to conclude with this food for thoughts, this sustainability, we must consider this in these 5 dimensions. So we are used to talk about economic, environmental, and social dimensions of sustainability, but there are 2 more elements we should include there when we talk about extensive livestock models, because it plays a cultural role and also a moral role. So how do animals live in intensive farms? What models or what are the connections between extensive livestock farming models with culture and history? Questions that I would like to leave there open. And in any case, climate change is causing really negative impacts on the livestock sector. So there are a few topics we are thinking about also to preserve and to adapt to climate change effects, but also to mitigate them. And this is the project I will explain. I will try to be very quick, because the main idea is that we are trying to bring solutions for the adaptation to climate change of extensive livestock production models in Southern Europe. So the project includes a variety of actions. So I will present only 2 of them. And also Alteo was mentioning before, we also shared this need identification. We identify the awakeness in the sector, and it's the lack of skills, the lack of knowledge, and the lack of awareness. Also, farmers are among the occupations with the lowest level of digital skills. So digital skills are not addressed in this project, but the project includes a training for actors in the sector of extensive livestock in relation to the adaptation to climate change. And also it includes a compendium of good practices that will help the whole sector also to better understand how to adapt to climate change, and even better to mitigate climate change effects, which is very important. There is also some digital tools included in the project, but at the moment the project is not finished, so I cannot present those results still, but it considers also the idea of including the devices such as sensors or different applications that will help the management of extensive livestock models. So as I said, there is a training offer included in the course that will help farmers to really understand the climate change and the effects that climate change will have in the way they manage those vast areas, because this is an important element that extensive livestock farming impacts in a big part of the territory. So it plays a role in the ecosystems, and through this course, farmers better understand the role that they play in this new context. The objective of the project is to create a new professional ecosystem, more inclusive, where farmers, different actors, stakeholders, students come together in this training. At the moment, there are around 90 participants in the first course, and it is very interesting to see how they interact, how they are sharing ideas. I am coordinating this course together with other colleagues from the project, and it is really amazing the way we are learning from each other. So we present the content, and then this new professional ecosystem is already happening with a new approach, also considering this twin transition, the digital and ecological transition, the new ways of production, and the way to adapt to the new climate conditions and to mitigate those effects. So we also have a compendium of good practices that is being produced through the identification, adaptation, and the transference of this knowledge based on bibliography, also in the expertise of the project partners. And yeah, it is really, these are some examples of the technical cards we are producing. You can visit also the website of the project if you would like to know a bit more. But at the end, what we would like to present here is this idea of an holistic approach to extensive livestock, and not considering only the production of meat, but the ecosystem services that are developed through the management of this kind of farm, extensive livestock farming, considering the whole ecosystem, so the management of the ecosystem, especially the water management or the preservation of the soils and the pastures, and also to include some cultural aspects. So very quick, just to conclude, we in this new context, we need to understand the difference between intensive and extensive livestock farming with an holistic approach to sustainability, and we really want to work on these complex sustainability indicators to really understand how to work with this holistic approach. In relation to the carbon footprint, it is not that we can just say, okay, cows are responsible of the global warming. There is a big complexity behind that data, and we need to understand this complexity and this difference also between CO2 and methane, and the impact on the global warming of those two gases, and how to calculate it. And also to understand that the extensive livestock farming can have positive effects on climate change and mitigate some of the effects, not only adapt, but also to mitigate them. So the need is to have a more professional and collaborative sector, again, to upskill and reskill professionals, and to work together in projects like SEED. That it will be an interesting reference also for us, for the research, innovation, and knowledge transferability. Yeah, I try to be a bit more quick because I prefer to go more to the topic. So thank you very much, and I hope you find it interesting. If you have any questions.
Thank you very much, Antonio. Very, very interesting. And again, showing very clearly the link between the need for sustainability, zero pollution, and the significance of education. And that is also what I think one of our key messages, that the importance of developing educational based approaches at different levels, very, very important. If anyone has any questions or would like to make any comments, please feel free to use the chat area. At the moment, we don't have any comments. I don't know whether, Althea, you want to say something to round up the three presentations.
Yes, well, first of all, thanks again to Claudia, Antonio, and Carl for the nice presentations. That's what I had in mind at the beginning, and what you already confirmed, that the topic was really much centered and focused to the priority of the EU Green Week. I think that we are lacking, if I now go back to SEED and I compare to what you have presented, we have to somehow work a little bit more again on the qualification. Probably this project won't be the opportunity to do so, but maybe a follow-up project could focus more on the environmental aspects of education, of those people who are meant to be advisors in the digital transformation related to agriculture. So let's say that I take this first webinar as the beginning of a collaboration. Maybe if you are also interested for some other work at the educational level in the future, and also maybe, yeah, the second step, and this is enlarged to also the audience of the webinar, could be our final conference in Brussels in September, when we will really discuss on how to make a step further in the innovation of educational programs for agriculture.
Thank you. I don't know whether either Antonio or Claudia would like to add anything based on what has been done. We still have no comments. What has been said?
I think so. I think so. Thank you. I think that it is necessary, the qualification of technicians in this area. I think so. Even here in Portugal, I think it's an issue that even for the graduation and masters is not very already implemented. So it really need to start from level 4, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and to implement this in a way that people are really formed, really capable of doing those kind of integrating the digitalization in all the supply chain of agriculture, since the e-commerce to the technologies of sowing and harvesting. Well, all of the system needs to be digitalized, and we need to provide people the tools to be able to do it. That's what I think.
Yeah, and I will add that we need to really understand what climate change means, how climate change affects your own business, and how can you even make the most of it, because the data is at the end, it could be also used as marketing. And this is something we are missing in extensive livestock farming. So to connect all that information to the product, also being able to explain the ecosystem services we are providing with this kind of farming. And this is also, this is a different perspective. It's not that much on the management of the business or the agriculture. It's more in the information you can include in the products you are providing and in the services you are providing. And this is something, it is really motivating, because it's a matter also of including digital technologies at some point. We are also working on that. But first of all, we need to identify the scenario. And the farmers, they understand the lack of water, they understand that the conditions are changing, but they don't really understand how to react to this Green Deal that you were saying before also, Carl. So yeah, it's been very interesting, and we will be also happy to discuss a bit further and to explore collaboration opportunities.
Yes, Althea, yes.
Can you give me back the screening? I just want to share in the closure something. Okay. Let me know when you get it.
Yes,
takes a while. Okay, now because I said that the first date to keep discussing about these topics is September, it's not true. There is a social hackathon in a very beautiful natural park in the middle of Italy, which takes place from the 1st to the 4th of July. And the challenges, of course, we relate to the Sustainable Development Goals, but the challenges are very close to what we have discussed today: zero hunger, zero waste, zero impact, and zero ignorance. So we have extended the date for apply with solutions until this Friday. So if there is anyone interested, I will be happy to welcome you in Italy. Sorry, I just reminded about this. I wanted to share.
Thank you.
And just to say, the details are on the SEED website under the news section. And in the same place under news, we will share the video of this recording when it's online, and also the presentations. I think I hope our speakers will allow us to share the presentations there, because I think the message has to be in multiple channels. And it's very interesting that the lack of interest from the Commission to participate, they were invited to participate in this session, and their lack of interest illustrates that there is a lack of understanding of the significance and the relevance of the things that we have been talking about today. And so I'm going to conclude and end the session with the video. Go back to, if I can ask Althea to release the screen.
I think I'm going to
go back. Yeah, I'm going to go back, and I'm going to show my screen and go back and show the video again. of our project, and thank everyone for participating. I thank our speakers all for being here and for sharing, and let's hope we get some new involvement and interactions for new proposals and new projects.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much. Bye.